So, in the midst of all this injustice against Irene Aldana, who should be fighting for the bantamweight title, of course, in the last week they made that stupid trilogy, Nunes Pena 3, the fight no one asked for, and now to make matters worse, the fight that the UFC they scrapped on purpose. Like, there's a reason why they took this off the San Antonio main event and replaced it with Corey versus Cheeto. Because it's not that they didn't want that as the main event, they didn't want to make that fight. They wanted to try to negotiate their way into getting Aldana a title shot. When Nunes wouldn't agree to March 5th and Pena wouldn't agree to the 25th, they were like, all right, you know what? We're going to try to make Nunes Aldana at a different date. But the UFC, they folded to Pena's complaining. Nunes Pena 3 it is. And now back on is Pennington versus Aldana 2. Another absolutely boring, uninteresting matchup. No one asked for. But people give Raquel way too much credit anyway. People undermine Aldana because apparently she's only beaten bums and never deserved a title shot because who is she beating? She's only lost or only won two in a row and she lost to Holly not too long ago. People put way too much stock into that Holly loss and they don't give her credit for, beating, I guess, Macy and Yana Kunitskaya. Apparently, Holly gets more credit for beating Yana, even though Yana was coming off a 2 year layoff and a loss to Aldana, and Aldana beat an active Yana on a win streak and finished her. Whatever. I mean, Raquel gets more credit because she's on a win streak, a 5 fight win streak against, bums in her own right. And, she beat Chasson, so did Irene Aldana. She beat Ketlin via split decision. Aldana knocked Ketlin Vieira the F out. So what's the difference? This should be Aldana's shot, and May 20th, she's rematching Raquel Pennington. Now, this is an opportunity for her to avenge a loss. The first fight was a split decision. I remember that fight clearly watching it in 2019. And I remember thinking that it was close, but it should have probably gone to Aldana. I think since then, Aldana has shown more evolution, a lot more improvement. And I don't know. I think at this point she should win. I think she is the better fighter. I do think Raquel is a bit of a tough style matchup for Aldana because she is durable. She's got that bulldog strength. She's a very good grappler. And her boxing, her hands are pretty nice too. Like she could box with Aldana, but the striking does favor Aldana. And what did edge Pennington last time was the grappling. I don't remember the grappling much in the first round. She probably was holding Irene against the cage a lot and was like landing on her a lot in the first round. But round two, I do remember Irene Aldana was clearly outboxing Raquel. And then the third round, Raquel with her lay and pray tactics sealed it by holding down Irene Aldana. And Aldana was holding on to a leg lock that she couldn't get and gave up bottom position looking for a submission. So she lost the split decision, as unfortunately as it is. But I do think that going forward in this fight, if Aldana, if her takedown defense holds up, which I do think it will, I do think her grappling has massively improved. Don't let the Chasson fight fool you. She showed some good takedown defense and scrambling ability outside of that second round. Good defensive grappling from bottom, and she was attacking with subs. Like her grappling looked good in that fight. But I do think she's going to learn from that fight with Chasson. I think her defensive grappling is going to be even better. You know what I mean? She's not going to give up takedowns as easily as last time. And again, I don't really see Raquel doing much different. I think Aldana is going to come in a different version of herself, a more evolved version of herself. Whereas Raquel, the only way she's going to try to win is holding Aldana against the cage, taking her down and keeping her down. Pretty much all Aldana has to do is keep her back off the cage. Don't let Raquel hold her against the fence and just keep it on the feet. And I think she should be able to win. She should be able to pick apart Raquel Pennington. And I think she will. I think Aldana is going to win this fight. And I could see her pulling off a decision because Raquel is very tough to finish. But it won't surprise me if maybe Aldana finds a submission, and does it the right way this time. Maybe she gets a rear naked choke. We'll just have to see. But I'm not looking forward to this fight at all because I dread the idea of Aldana potentially going 0-2 to Raquel and then never fighting for the belt. That's like my worst nightmare. She should be fighting for the belt and she isn't. She should be fighting for the title and she's not. You know what I mean? This Nunes fight should be hers, not Juliana's. Juliana did nothing in the last year but sit on her ass, complain, moan, whine, decline contenders. She ducked Aldana, and somehow she's being rewarded this fight with Amanda Nunes, a fight no one cares about. But you know what? A lot could change in the next few weeks. Who knows if this fight will even happen? Who knows if Nunes Pena will even happen? You know, who knows? What if Amanda pulls out and the UFC needs Julia or Aldana to step in? Or better yet, what if Pena, who shouldn't be getting this shot, pulls out? Who are they gonna call? I mean, if it's between Aldana and Pennington, I don't care if Raquel's on a win streak and is ranked number two. We've already seen her get her ass whooped by Nunes. It wouldn't be any different. I think the UFC would want a fresh opponent who should have got the fight in the first place, who was supposed to get the fight in the first place. I think they would go with Aldana as an alternate for Juliana Pena. So, again, we could see Pena pull out potentially, and Irene Aldana end up withdrawing from this fight to fill in for Pena, and they can just find a different main event. Maybe Holly Holm potentially could go do a trilogy with Raquel for all I care, you know what I mean? Or just take Raquel off the card and find some other people to headline. I'm praying that happens. Got my fingers crossed that this fight doesn't happen so that we don't run the risk of Aldana potentially taking the L to her. Although I don't think she will. I have faith if this fight does happen, Aldana will win, Pena will lose, and Aldana will get the title shot that she's long overdue. A lot of people view this as a title eliminator. This like Aldana should not be in a title eliminator right now. She shouldn't be. She should be fighting for the belt. Or she should have got a chance to fight Juliana Pena. If Pena wasn't so selfish, that was already supposed to be the fight that was gonna happen. Or it should be Pena versus Raquel Pennington. But you know, Pena thinks she's above the whole division just because she's 1-1 with Amanda Nunes, and she thinks she deserves a trilogy. Deserves, but she really doesn't. But whatever. Time will tell what happens, whether this fight happens or not, whether, Pena Nunes goes through. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully, the universe will correct itself. But if it doesn't, Aldana will win this fight, and what's inevitable will happen, which is Irene's title shot. And then you guys can shut the fuck up about, oh, who is Aldana beat, since you guys seem to give Raquel so much credit and undermine Aldana. What are you gonna say if she beats Raquel, the number two girl, and she wins 3 fights in a row? Then you gotta give her credit. And you can shut the fuck up about the Holly Holm fight as well, because that was in 2020. Who gives a fuck about Holly?